That Naturopathic Podcast. TNP.
Hello there.
Hi, and thanks for joining us. I'm Dr. Michelle Pobega, naturopathic doctor.
And I'm Dr. David Miller, ND, and we hear your frustrations. This show is for you.
This show is for you if you're feeling like your current healthcare strategy is not getting to the root cause or the underlying reasons for your health.
This show is for you if you've been told that you're fine, but you definitely don't feel very well.
This show is for you if you're walking out of your doctor's office with 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 medications without any mention of diet, lifestyle, or a long-term game plan.
This show is for you if you've got several specialists taking care of you, but no one is really putting all the pieces together.
This show is for you if you believe that health should be part of healthcare. These problems have solutions.
We know it.
Our patients know it.
And we want you to know it.
Naturopathic medicine is the solution that you should know about. Hello, and welcome to another episode of That Naturopathic Podcast. I am Dr. Michelle Pobega, naturopathic doctor extraordinaire, and I am flying solo for a super quick little episode to talk a little bit about sleep. Now, if you are an avid listener of the show, you are very well aware that Dave and I consider sleep to be one of those foundational pillars of health, and there is incredible reason for that. It is there's a lot that happens during sleep. It's not just passive. So whenever I hear someone being like, yeah, I'll sleep when I'm dead, I'm like, that is not a good phrase. Because the quality of your health hinges on quality of sleep. During sleep, it's not just like nothing is happening. That is when your body's at enough rest that all the behind the scenes work can happen. Things to regulate your hunger and satiety cues are happening during sleep. A lot of healing is happening during sleep. A lot of repair is happening during sleep. A lot of detoxification is happening during sleep. If we're looking at the 24-hour clock in traditional Chinese medicine, our gallbladder is most active between the hours of 11 and 1 a.m. And then our liver is most active between the hours of 1 and 3 a.m. So those are detoxification times of when our body is liver function can be most active based on Chinese medicine. And I believe also like just physiologically and biologically, it's even if we're not looking at TCM, there is a lot of detoxification that happens throughout the night. This is also going to have a massive impact on your 24-hour clock, which is then going to impact your hypothalamus, your HPA axis, your influence on hormones, every single one of your hormones, your thyroid hormones, your stress hormones, your sex hormones, melatonin production is a hormone, even insulin and all those things. These are all hormones, right? It's all going to be regulated by your 24-hour clock. And sleep is a really important part of that 24-hour clock. If sleep wasn't important, we wouldn't be needing 7 to 9 hours a day. Like, it's wild. So I wanted to just talk about optimizing sleep. A few things that you can do is you really want to set the tone for your bedroom. Your bedroom should be a sanctuary. If at all possible, do not have your office or your desk in your bedroom. So that way, when you walk into that space, it's not associated with already cues that trigger the idea of work. That's not something you want. You want going into your bedroom to be an idea of calm when you walk into your bedroom. You want that to be the essence of what you get when you walk into that space. I don't have a television in my room. I, however, am still prone to sometimes watching Netflix on my phone before I fall asleep. I am fully guilty of that. And it is definitely something I need to squish and squash. But not having an excessive amount of electronics in the room, not having any kind of blue light. If you have anything that is emanating any kind of light, do something about it. It's supposed to be dark at night. So number one, if you're city dwelling and you're not somewhere on a farm where there aren't streetlights all over the place, you are going to have light pollution at night. Please get blackout curtains to block that so that you have as dark as possible at night. I also have an alarm clock where I can turn it's a digital alarm clock that wakes me up like a sunrise. And within 30 minutes of my alarm going off, it starts to get a little bit brighter and brighter and brighter during that 30 minutes duration. However, the digital part, the light of the digital clock, I can turn that off while I'm sleeping. And then I typically turn the light of that on when I wake up in the morning so I can look at it, periodically throughout the day if needed. But I turn that light off. And there's minimal electronics in the bedroom, other than I think my alarm clock, to be honest, and possibly my phone sometimes, which, like I said, I really have to put my phone in the office while I sleep and just leave it out of my bedroom. Anyways, that is one big thing, is as dark as possible. To not have too many things associated with your bedroom other than sleep and sex, essentially. So do not make it somewhere where you eat food. Do not make it your office space. Do not make it where you're doing a plethora of work. This starts to send cues to your nervous system's response and your subconscious belief and your subconscious system about what is associated with this space. We want it associated with the right things. We want it associated with relaxation and calm. So setting the tone in your environment from that perspective is very important. I would also say a cooler temperature at night is also quite good. I'm always fighting to either have the window open or have the AC on, and then I have a fan on me. Or in the winter, I'm always like, can we just we shut the vents in the bedroom at night so that it's colder in the room, and then you bundle up under the covers, and I'm telling you, you will sleep better. It's like your body goes into a mini hibernation by having it a slightly colder temperature at night. There's actually research to show that there should be a drop in temperature to enhance sleep quality. So there's science behind that. And I would say getting some kind of regularity with your sleep schedule is key. This is a hard part. And I get a lot of people who are especially parents who are after my kids go to bed, I just want some time to myself. And then I push myself, and then I end up going to bed a lot later. And then I'm tired the next morning, and then I'm grumpy and this, and it just feels like it becomes a vicious circle. And you have to just start to ask yourself, what's a better priority? You watching Netflix for an extra hour or two and then losing sleep and then feeling like a maniac the next day, or actually getting good quality sleep and everything about your body, your mind, your emotions, and your stress resiliency becomes stronger, that you can actually be more present, more efficient, more effective as a human, a communicator at tasks or work, or work things like childcare, friendships, relationships, communication. It's a big deal. So I understand we all want some level of autonomy, and I can appreciate that for parents, but we also and getting time for yourself is a way of putting yourself first, but you also have to start choosing the quality of the things that you choose for yourself. And I find when you start getting more sleep, quantity and better sleep quality, it is a game changer for people. I had a mom this week come in to see me, and I gave her a specific product. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why I recommend certain products. I gave her a specific product to help with her stress response, but at night, to help calm her cortisol, to help calm her nervous system, because she's wound up with these two kids at home and she's feeling the stress of that, and it's eating away at her. And so we started with the sleep, and 4 weeks after taking this, she came back. She's like, my sleep isn't perfect, but she is like, it is night and day compared to what it was before. It is monumentally better. She's like, and I do not want to go back to what it was before. She was like, this is a game changer to have good quality sleep. We kind of forget sometimes. So a lot of people will come into my office and they'll often be like, I've taken melatonin. It doesn't really work. I've taken, some kind of magnesium, but it ends up being like a magnesium oxide or magnesium citrate or something from Shoppers Drug Mart. And they're like, it didn't really work, or something like that. More often than not, people are going to the source of melatonin, and they find that it's not as effective. They find they might fall asleep a little bit faster, but they find that they still have a disrupted sleep. And for some people, it doesn't work at all. It doesn't help them fall asleep, doesn't help them stay asleep. Or they end up waking up feeling even more groggy and having extremely vivid dreams, which they find disruptive to their energy the next day as well. So what I'm finding for most people is that it is a stress response that is overactive at the end of the day, that is inhibiting the body from relaxing enough to naturally fall into a state of sleep and stay in a state of sleep. It's a stress response. Most of us are running all pistons firing and we're in overdrive, especially parents. But you know, if you're, especially if you're a working mom, good God. And a lot of people have anxieties, especially after the last 4 years. I feel like everybody's has their own version of stress from the last 4 years. Some people have their own version of PTSD from the last 4 years. Good Lord. And I feel like stress and anxiety and these types of symptoms have been amplified since COVID. And I feel people's stress response is amplified since COVID. This world continues to become more expensive, especially if you're living in Canada. It's absurd, the cost of living right now. And the amount you have to work and yet still give 50% of your paycheck to the government feels like robbery. And people are at their wits' end. And then on top of that, everybody has their own levels of like micro frustrations, micro stresses, traumas, unresolved emotional issues, transgenerational traumas, different things that are affecting them, not even just mentally and emotionally, but like you might hate your job. You might have a shitty boss. You might have been in a car accident. You might have a kid that's disrupting your quality of sleep throughout the middle of the night. You might have a child that's teething. You might be in an abusive relationship. Like there's a lot of different things that are going to be causing stress. But then I would also say there's also a lot of things that are happening inside your body on a biochemical level that are also stress induced. If your gut microbiome is off, your stress resiliency is going to be shaken. If you had an infection, your body can't fight it. That also creates a new type of stress in the body. If you're not sleeping well, that also further perpetuates a state of stress. So we have to start trying to like get off that hamster wheel and try to like intercept somewhere. And I find if people are coming to see me and they have X, Y, and Z symptoms, there are some key things that I want to understand based on foundations, foundational pieces of health, pillars of health. And if those foundational pillars of health are not there, it doesn't matter what fancy protocol I give you. It doesn't matter what kind of testing I give you. It means jack shit, pardon my French, if you're not sleeping well, if you're not pooping well, if you're not well hydrated, if you're not eating a balanced diet, if you're not moving your body, if you don't feel joy every day. It doesn't matter what kind of pills I give you. So often when it comes to people and improving their sleep quality, some people do really, really well on just magnesium, but I typically tell people to go for like a magnesium bisglycinate because glycine as an amino acid already has a calming effect on the body. And magnesium also has a calming effect on the body and helps with stress response and blood sugar response and all these other things. So pairing them together creates a nice combination. And for a lot of people, that alone can really improve the quality of sleep. And then there's other people where we have to kick it up a notch. And I start looking into things that will also amplify the calming response on the nervous system, on the mind, on the body, and also work using certain herbs that have been researched and found to bring down cortisol, our stress hormone. Because if your cortisol is still revving a little bit too high at night, that's going to interfere with your sleep weight, your circadian rhythm. So in a 24-hour clock, our cortisol response is supposed to wake up. It's supposed to increase or have a spike or a peak within 30 minutes to an hour of us waking in the morning. Then it starts to decline. And then there's a little bit of another smaller peak somewhere in the afternoon. And then it starts to decline. And it should be at its lowest at the end of the day. And then our melatonin, based on cues to signal it's nighttime, it's time to relax. This is where we start implementing those sleep hygiene practices, like making sure you're not around blue light, avoiding screens before bed, having dim lighting, having a cool temperature in the bedroom, having blackout curtains. That helps our body starts to signal the cues of melatonin to increase for sleep quality. But that should also start a few hours even before bedtime, if I'm really being honest. But we're not going to get into the nitty gritties of that, because I find that for most people, that's a hard thing to start to implement, even though it's really important. If you have blue light blocking glasses, like with the red lenses, that's ideal. Red light, fireplaces, candlelight, those Himalayan salt lamps, they all create a very ambient type of lighting that actually starts to send messages to our pineal gland about producing melatonin and shutting the system down. Just like a sunset, you start seeing those red colors, and that starts to send a signal into the system that it's time to wind down. So this is the end of the day, is when our melatonin is supposed to be highest. And if your cortisol hasn't fully relaxed, if you're still revving, if you get a second wind at the end of the day, your cortisol response has been kicked into gear disadvantageously, to your disadvantage, because now that is going to interfere with your body's ability to fall asleep, produce melatonin, and stay asleep. And I find that if people are waking up throughout the night, even if it's just once a night, if it's several times a night, especially if they have a hard time falling asleep, but even if you're waking up at all, it's often a stress response. Sometimes a dip in your blood sugar, if you don't have proper blood sugar regulation, a dip in your blood sugar will also cause your stress response to increase. If you have a really hard blood sugar crash, that will trigger your cortisol to kick up a notch. And sometimes we wake up, and a lot of times people are just like, yeah, but I just wake up to pee. And I said, well, funny you say that. Your adrenal glands, which are your stress glands, sit on top of your kidneys. Your adrenal glands help regulate salt, and then our kidneys help regulate water. So it's not necessarily a coincidence to me that when they are so so closely connected, both physically within space in your abdominal cavity, where literally your adrenals sit on your kidneys, and they both help regulate your salt-water balance. When your stress glands get kicked into gear, I'm not surprised that a lot of people wake up with the sensation of having to pee. So all of that is a stress response. So I find that helping people bring down their cortisol at night, a lot of times, like I said, magnesium bisglycinate might be helpful. There's some really interesting stuff about magnesium L-threonate or magnesium threonate, because it can actually pass the blood-brain barrier and help with calming the nervous system, calming the mind, helping with different mood things. That might also be something for you to look into, different things to bring down stress and cortisol. There's a lot of different things like GABA or inositol or L-theanine or phosphatidylserine or Relora or ashwagandha, or there's a lot of different herbs, or like kava or chamomile. What else do we have? We have valerian root, passion flower. All these things have a lot of these herbs have a bit of a nervine effect, meaning they help relax or calm our nervous system. And then when you're not sitting there being like ping, 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 ping with your nervous system response, because like everything is overstimulating in a stressed person, if your nervous system is much more chill, then you're going to get a better quality of sleep. So obviously, please work with someone to get the right type of recommendation. So that way, depending on your symptoms, depending on how you're presenting, there could be a little bit more strategic logic behind what is chosen for you to support you and to ensure that it's not interfering with any kind of medications or other health conditions that you exhibit. Please, please, please always work with someone. But at the very least, you could do something like a bath or have a cup of tea at the end of the day, or dim the lights, read a book, turn off your electronics, start setting the tone, do a yoga nidra nighttime meditation, or do a sleep meditation. Like, there are things that we can do that don't necessarily require like fancy supplement protocols, to just start setting the tone. And then if you still need support after that, then please work with a naturopath or a functional medicine doctor to address your sleep quality needs a little bit more. And for goodness sake, blackout curtains, guys. If you're living in the city, you gotta take out that noise pollution at night so that your body gets the right messages. Anyways, that's my little thing on sleep, because I saw a lot of people this week who were quite happy and thankful for the recommendations I've made to improve their quality of sleep, because they are finding how impactful it is on the rest of their system. So it felt important for me to bring this up and have a little bit more of a conscientious conversation with our audience about this. And I hope you enjoyed it. And sweet dreams to all of you listening. Bye.